You all just had the highest rated finals, the most watched finals in 20 years in the WNBA. What would you attribute the growth of the W to, and getting those type of ratings and on practice facilities and all these things moving forward? What would you attribute that growth to?
I mean, I honestly think it kind of picked up in the collegiate side of it. I think a lot of people started paying eyes on that when everything went down between Angel and Caitlin. And I think it kind of then allowed people to kind of open up this mindset of, oh, let's kind of watch it at this level. And I think they're also starting to see us more. And I always say, if you can see her, you can be her. But I think obviously representation matters, but being seen is it. Like, they see us a lot more, whether that's in commercials, whether that is just on social. Like, they can see us and relate to us, which means like they want to tune in and watch us. And then I always say, like, once you tune in and watch us and give it a chance, you might actually like it because we play decent basketball. Like, the Aces, we're gonna play some good basketball. I can be biased there and say, no, we're gonna put on a show for you for sure. And I think people are now starting to give it a chance and know that it's not just a charity case, but we're really good at what we do. And whether that is, and I think part of it also is we formed a rivalry. I think when you look in sports, everyone loves a rivalry. Everyone loves like the fact that I don't like them. They don't like us. So let's compete. Check the ball up. Let's play. And I think that was the positive side of the super teams, is because it's like people were like, okay, bet, let's tune in to see who's the real team. So I think that really, really helped us, was like, no, Aces and Liberty. Soon as we made the teams, people were like, that's the finals matchup. So when it came
100%.
down to that, they were like, no, I have to watch it. So I think it just we're starting to open up into spaces of like the rivalry and like pitting people against each other, because people love that. Like, that's what sells, is like, I hate them, they hate us, let's go. So I think that really kind of helped us getting those views, and people buying our jerseys and pouring into our teams, is because it's like, we want to be the best. And also us being defending champions, of course you want to see what's going on with us. So I think that was kind of the big cause of it.
Absolutely. No, I think that's incredible. And by the way, you just said something that I said years ago, and all y'all got mad at me, and I'm happy to hear you say that, because maybe I wasn't as far off my rocker as everyone tried to make like I was, which is people knowing your stories and like knowing who you are, like people actually getting to know the story of Asia Wilson, getting to know the story of Chelsea Gray, getting to know the story of Kelsey Plum. I think that's what grows the game. I remember years ago, I was in Miami when I did the interview. I'll never forget it. It was about Women's Empowerment Month. And I'm just like, no, like these girls are, like these women, they're not supported the way everybody act like they support them. And I don't think they're asking the right thing to then move this thing forward. And I caught so much flack for it. Nonetheless, I am happy to hear you say that the viewership and people getting to know our stories and know this person and know that person is what's changing things, because that was just a little suggestion. So it's great to hear that. It's great to hear that. But in speaking of, well, before we move on to that, a lot of players in the W have to go overseas during the W's off season, because you all make way more money overseas than you make in the W. All is not, like myself included, all of us are not fortunate enough to have the big endorsement deals like Asia Wilson, but y'all are it's just a totally different ball game when y'all go overseas and the money that you make. When do you think the W will reach a point to where players no longer, and I think we're starting to see more of it now. We're starting to see not as many women in the W going overseas and finding different avenues to make a living. But when do you think the W will reach a point to where the W is enough and that's the job? And it's a two-part question also. Do you think the W season will ultimately need to be longer in order to actually reach that point?
Looking for a super offer for Super Bowl 58? DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. New customers can bet the big game. Bet just $5. That's it, $5, and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Takes about 90 seconds. Use the code Colin, C-O-L-I-N. New customers bet $5, get $150 instantly in bonus bets for the big game. DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Remember, redeem code Colin, COLIN. The crown is yours.
Ooh, okay. So to answer your first question, I have no idea what the W can do to help players not go overseas, because it would just have to be a lot within the league that would have to change salary wise. And with our salary cap, that's really, really hard to do. So I don't know exactly how, like, economically wise, like how that could work, but hopefully soon. But we are seeing a change. Like, we're seeing a lot more W players staying because of anything. Like, we have new league with AU. Like, it's a lot of different things that women can still stay here and play. But I also very lucky and blessed to be, Clutch client, and they keep me working, and that's what I love the most, because the girl got to get paid. But no, I think those are also, it's like, who's in your circle? Who's working for you? Like, what are they doing to put yourself out there? And they do a great job of doing that. And I think on the other side of it, yes, I would love a longer season because I love the game, but also I feel like it puts us in a way where it's starting to flow. Like, you're starting to mesh together, because then it's kind of like, okay, soon as our season ending, we're starting to go into, and you guys' season start. So like, lights are shining on different sides of the league, but like, that's kind of like what it's all about, right? Like, all eyes on a lot of different things. And I think with that, yes, but also obviously you got to fight TV time and viewership and different things like that. But for a longer season, I'm all for it. I know we're trying to add teams, which is going to be super hard, but they're trying. So that's a kind of step. But yeah, I think we would definitely need a longer season to really have people give a chance of like watching us, because then it's kind of like not riding on the NBA's coattail, but in a sense, it's kind of like, no, basketball's still going on. Like, basketball doesn't end when you guys' season ends. It's like, yes, you have the whole summer to watch us. So just kind of implementing that and letting people kind of have eyes on us is big.
There's been a question that many people has asked or brought up. And it's always been met with resistance from you all. And I personally myself can understand the resistance. But, people will always say, well, why don't they lower the rims to 9.5 feet? That would make the game more exciting. And quite honestly, I think that's a totally different way of playing. Like, a half a foot is a huge difference. Like,
It's a difference.
A huge difference. Like, it changes your whole shot. Like, you've practiced shooting the ball a certain way your whole life. Like, it changes everything. But yet the first thing people would throw out there, yeah, but there'll be more dunks, and that's more exciting. And so, like, how do you kind of combat that thing? Like, so I do understand where y'all are coming from. Yet I'm a big fan of the W. I watch the games, and I also think I watch the games more so like the fundamentals that y'all, like, you can't find that shit in the NBA. Like, the guys in the NBA just don't have fundamentals. And like, you watch y'all play, and the fundamentals, I love it. But for those that can only watch the game for excitement, because most people don't understand the game, like, how do you kind of combat that?
I think just my biggest thing is I always try to tell people is like, you just honestly have to give it a chance and give it an open mind. I think that's kind of the only thing, because like when you said lowering the rims, I'm like, I'm not changing 20 years of me learning basketball just so I can dunk maybe twice in a game, if we're being realistic. Like, it's like, I can't give that. Like, we're not the Harlem Globetrotters. We're not the guys that jumps on the trampolines. Like, I worked too hard and put a lot of like time into my game for me to change it just because I want to sell a ticket if we're already selling out tickets right now. So I feel like the biggest thing, and when I ask people, like when people ask me, I'm like, you really have to just go to a game. I get watching it on TV and that's great, but going to a game, particularly an Aces game, gives you a whole different outlook on just the game itself, because then it turns into entertainment. Because then you're like, you get to feel the feeling of the game. And then you get to enjoy it, because they're like, okay, no, they're actually doing stuff really, really well. Like, they're looking pretty decent. So yeah, I can't do the lowering of the rims. It gives me a headache when people ask me that, because I'm like, no, like, why? It changed my whole depth perception. Like, no, absolutely not. But I think just the game itself, obviously, we're hoopers here. So I'm like, the game is exciting, I promise. Like, just give it a chance. But I think, honestly, that's what you have to do, is just give it a chance. And I would also say, fall in love with a player. Like, we tell our stories, that we're deeper than basketball players. Like, find a player, ask somebody who's really dope in the WNBA and kind of dig into them, see what they got, see what they like, and then form that relationship with them. So then it kind of translates over to the court.